Ozians, I'm the Louisiana Quadling, and welcome to my channel. A while back on a previous video, I got a comment which read, "I am new to your channel, and so excited that I found it. If you haven't already, might I suggest that you do a video specifically on how you choose to design/display your collection?" Well, I hope this video answers that question. And if you are a fan of Oz, just like me, make sure to tap that little red OZ at the bottom of the screen and subscribe for more Oz content. I post new videos on the 15th and last day of each month. The first question that we need to ask ourselves is, where are you going to display your collection? If you have a choice on which room to display your collection in, make sure that that room doesn't get a lot of direct hit from sunlight. And you know, this kind of feels silly, just like telling you all of this. Why don't I show you? Where was I? Oh yes, sunlight. When I first started collecting, my Oz collection was on display downstairs in our dining room. And one of the cabinets was right next to a large window with nothing blocking it from the sunlight. As you can guess, most of those pieces that were in that case got completely sun-faded. A lot of those items a decade ago I've replaced. But it's certainly something to look out for when you're picking the room that you want to have your Oz things in. Make sure that that room doesn't get a lot of sunlight, as you don't want to have your collection get completely ruined from the sunlight. Now, if your only option to display your collection in is a dining room or living room situation, you make best of that situation. Now that you've picked the room that you're going to use, what are you going to display your collection in? This really depends on what your collection focuses on. But of course, the main goal with fixtures is to utilize them to the best that you can. If your collection is book heavy, like mine, I would suggest getting barrister bookcases, especially if you're interested in collecting the vintage Oz books, as vintage books weigh a whole lot more than new books. So you'll want to get a cabinet that can actually support the weight of those books. And if you are a doll collector or figurine collector, I of course would suggest to get some showcase cabinets. And if your collection is situated in a living room setting, another option for you for special items or books is to have a coffee table that has a glass tabletop so that you can stick collectibles inside it. That's another way of using a different part of your space to show off your collection. All of these cabinets that you've seen were purchased at estate sales or thrift shops, so you don't need to have the fanciest cabinet to display your collection in. I prefer cases that are simple in design so that my collection stands out. But if you want fancy cases, that is completely up to you. The main aspect of getting cabinets is so that your collection can be behind glass doors. If you have kids or pets, this is another way of assuring that little hands won't get into your collection, especially if those cases lock. That's even better. Now, if your collection focuses on, let's say, one character, like the Wicked Witch, you'll have a collection that is mostly the same color. If you have that kind of situation, I would suggest either getting a completely glass cabinet or a wood cabinet that you paint either a light or a neutral color. That way your collection will stand out. Now, if you can't get your hands on cabinets with glass doors and you have to rely on open shelves, there is one little enemy that you are gonna have to look out for. And that is dust. I've never had a problem with dust inside my cabinets, but outside of them, oh, that is a completely different story. I'd suggest rotating your collection out. This is something I've done for years. And this is also why it's really important to keep those original boxes. When you don't have something out on display, pop it back in its original box, stow it away in a closet. That way, that item doesn't get dust on it. And since you'll be rotating everything, nothing's going to get years and years of dirt and grime and dust covering items. I've never really had too much of a big of a problem since I've rotated my collection. Now, obviously, not all Wizard of Oz items are meant to be in cases. Take, for example, the Icon Design replica ruby slippers. On the walls are posters and artwork from various films and countries. If you leave collectibles in their original boxes, leaving them displayed outside of a cabinet can be a great option. It's much easier to dust a box than to get dust out of a doll's hair. Now that we've got where your collectibles are going to go, how are you going to set them up inside the cases or cabinets that you have? If you have two of the exact case, I'd suggest mirroring your collection. And if the shelves are adjustable, even better. Adjust the shelves to be completely identical in both cases and mirror everything in each case. All of my cases are, unfortunately, different shapes and sizes. If you have this situation, another option that you can do is dividing out the space like what I've done. In one corner is the doll and figurine side, and on the other side is the Oz library. And when you're putting things inside of display cases, I would suggest not cramming everything into one case. I know a lot of people like to see their entire collections, but when you cram everything in a case, you still can't see everything, especially if you have, let's say, a Barbie doll blocking a plate, or if you have all of those Hallmark ornaments just limping in the front. Those items aren't getting their chance to really shine if your cases have a mirrored back. Should you stick media like books and albums or plates all the way in the back? I really wouldn't, as you're going to be blocking the light that would have reflected off of that mirror onto everything else. And also, don't you want to have access to those books or albums in the future? I'd suggest putting those in a bookcase, as they're much easier to access that way than behind a whole bunch of your Oz collection. With my display cases, I've set them up two different ways just for you guys to see some different ways that I've set things up. In this case, we have two different doll sets that are done by company. I know you Wizard of Oz people are really concerned with your sets. On the bottom, we have the traditional Robert Tonner designed 4th scale Tonner dolls. And on the top, we have Robert's 3rd scale dolls from the 75th anniversary. And in the middle is a whole bunch of figurines from an estate sale that I picked up last year. In the opposite cabinet, we have an interesting eclectic mix of different Oz dolls. This is something I've not seen done too often in other people's collections, but it's certainly a different way of setting up your collection, as you can enjoy different types of dolls everywhere in one case. And if there's anything that I missed in this video that you'd like me to cover, or if there's any other Oz topics that you'd really like me to cover on the channel, comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. And if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. New videos are posted every 2 weeks on the 15th and last day of each month. And if that doesn't satisfy your appetite for Oz, follow the link in the description to ozclub.org and join the International Wizard of Oz Club. Until next time, bye y'all.